Hi, it's the 9th of April 2020, the most wonderful balmy weather outside after all that rain last month, and I'm making soup. It's leek and celeriac. I suppose Chris won't like it, but that's what I have on the allotment to use up. If you've ever wondered what happens to leeks that you plant into the ground without making a little hole and dropping them in and watering them as per the approved manner, this is what happens. Short and fat, but perfectly edible all the same. There's just a few left and I need to use them up before they go to seed. And the only other thing that's left on the allotment is the celeriac, which is an unholy mess of roots, and what it's done, the few that I've left in the ground, they've started to bud at the side. So I'm making my soup from a couple of these little buds. It's so horrible and filthy and messy. I'm thinking the one remaining celeriac, I shall leave it in the ground and just plant round it and see what happens, whether the buds come out and into nice little clean round celeriac roots or not. Because the ones you get in the supermarket are nothing like these. I added some potato to bland it down a bit. We'll see what happens with that. There are my little tomatoes getting bigger, waiting for the new polytunnel cover, which is now on the way apparently. And look at these babies. These are cucumber plants. Last year not one of my cucumber seeds germinated, so I'm well chuffed with that. These broad beans aren't breaking surface, I'm just hoping they're doing something in there. So there's some baby carrots, and there. I planted out one lot of Brussels sprouts. I ordered some more nets before I can plant the rest. Cauliflowers at the back there, not quite so vigorous as the other ones. These are various kinds of broccoli. Leeks, climbing peas. Their germination has been quite sporadic. I think it was an old packet that I thought I'd better use up. And over here, the poor little parsnips, bravely struggling up. I thought I'd start a little raised bed in the garden on the lawn, and I've marked it out, but as you can see I haven't got very far with it yet. I have moved the two big tubs to the front garden that are supposed to be displaying to the public how easy it is to grow broad beans in tubs. Yes. Watch this space. This is my last loaf of bread. I've probably got enough flour for 2 more loaves in there. I was in the supermarket earlier, and the queue was halfway around the car park. We were all keeping 2 meters away from each other, going in fairly quickly. I suppose they had to keep people moving so there wouldn't be a riot, but when I got in there it was quite crowded as well. It was really hard to stay away from everybody. Added to which, they've recently shifted everything around on the shelves, and so you're never quite sure if you're looking at the shelf where something ought to be, if they actually had any of it, because they're constantly running out. The main thing they run out of, as far as I can see, is bread flour, which is interesting. Well, flour of all kinds actually, but there used to be always loads of bread flour. I don't think people used to bake their own bread, but they're certainly doing it now. Well, they're doing something with the bread flour anyway. So I went to a second supermarket on my way back, and the queue was halfway around the block there, and I thought, if I queue for another half an hour for bread and I get in there and I find there's no flour left, well, that's a waste of time, so I came home. And I was thinking, do we actually need bread? Do we need to eat all this wheat? We probably don't. What could I use instead? The supermarket did have a super large bag of chickpea flour, gram flour. And when I suggested to Chris that we could make bread out of it, he said, no, I don't like that. So, but you know, we have the luxury, or we have had the luxury up until now, of choosing what we eat and when we eat and how much we eat. And it's salutary to be reminded, I think, that in fact it's not a right, but a privilege, and one that nature doesn't always grant us. And we have to relearn the old skills of making do. So here we are, soup's ready.
Potato, leek and celeriac. It's okay.
It's okay. You think you might have a second spoonful?
Oh yes.
Good. See you later. Bye.